realized I haven't done one of these for quite some time, so I've been collecting these sites in a folder of like cool stuff, and I thought today would be a good time to share it. It's just after 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I've just filled my face with the most amazing little tacos. I've got these little white tacos, and I just put like really good scrambled egg and salsa and avocado in there, and I've just polished those off, and I wanted to like get a video out today, mainly to put all these together so I could test a new feature in Screenflow 10, and that's the ability to have markers or chapters inside of the video that you've edited, put in the text and links to the site or whatever you want to put, and then when you do the export and save it and publish to YouTube, it actually puts in the description field the chapters as text and the timings as where that is in your video. So I thought, what better way to test it, to have like 30 sites of things that I'm looking at the moment, and also have all those descriptions auto filled out for me. So I'll put a little video at the end of all the chapters once they're in, so you can see what I mean by it. All right, number one, engaging events made easy. I've always been surprised that YouTube never had a really good collaboration feature. It seems really like alien to me that we don't have a tool where somebody could message somebody in YouTube and ask to work together, or maybe some bounty system where I can pay $5 or $10, a little bit like that Cameo app, to be able to get a piece of content filmed in another country that I can add as B-roll to my video. Like, I really feel like now in 2021 we should have already had like major collaboration video tools, and for some reason YouTube isn't offering those, which is weird. So this slides with friends is really cool. Interactive slides to host incredible meetings and events. Bring your remote or hybrid team together with icebreakers, happy hour games, real-time surveys, training, and more. So all they've done is like bolted in basically like video chat on the right, and then you've got slides, and then you can do certain functionality inside the slides. Really cool. I don't know the pricing on it. I don't know if it's expensive or not. Let's have a quick look at it. So it's free for small groups up to 10 people, and then there's a starter for $6 a month, and then $14 a month up to 200 people. So that's pretty cool to have that amount of people. Maybe you could do it as a live stream as well onto YouTube, and just maybe do a stand-up or a roundtable, especially if you're working for a startup. All right, next one is capsule.video. They've built this very interesting little platform. Again, going back to what I was saying about collaboration and video, really, the ability to crowdsource that from a group of people, and it's all kind of bolted in on a phone app, so you can actually export all this stuff and use it in something like TikTok, for instance. And this is exactly what I expected YouTube to bring out, and I'm really surprised that they haven't done something like this. Maybe Capsule will get acquired by a big company, because I feel like this is where things are going to next. If we are going to have to maintain the pace as content creators to actually like get our heads above the white noise of just like social media posts and hashtags, then we're going to need to work together collaboratively. While we sleep, then somebody's working on the edit or putting together some content, so that when we wake up we can jump in and do our bit. So I'm kind of pumped to play around with this, and the pricing's not too bad. I've got to a point with web apps working on apps in the cloud. I'm not having locally installed stuff. I've got to the point now where I'm realizing, as long as I've got like a fast laptop, like this M1 enabled Mac, and fast internet, I can do most of the stuff that I want to do in the cloud. So to be able to edit video collaboratively is just awesome. And the prices, I think probably with the 10 tools, 5 or 10 tools that I would need, it probably cost me about $100 a month, and I'm easily going to make that back with all those platforms. Next up is Mindstamp. Lots of people have tried to do this interactive video solution, but I think Mindstamp's pretty good. It reminds me a little bit of how Wistia is like this enterprise video solution compared to YouTube, and has benefits over YouTube, I have to say. And I feel like a lot of these companies come around for like 2 years and then get acquired. I know that Wistia will never do that. I think they're even paying back their debt that they took out by taking extra money from investors. I played around with Mindstamp a little bit. I could see myself using this, especially in like a Discord group where you want people to interact with it. Cool little site. Next up is Spacely. turn Google Docs into knowledge bases. This is great for people who are like in deep with the Google ecosystem. If you've been using it for free for 10 years, chances are you don't want to move to another platform. So the ability to make like a knowledge base for your product is really, really cool, because you can just use the tools that you already use and then use this platform to actually turn it into a clickable, easy to walk around thing that you can just send to people in your support chat. Next up is expensive chat. Send money to chat with strangers who spend money to chat with strangers. 1 penny per letter. It's interesting to me how the notion of loneliness and real time and microtransactions is starting to like permeate into internet culture. Like, where can you really hang out online and just get into a conversation and chat with people? And there's some interesting weird business models like just popping up from here, there and everywhere, and I love the fact that people are experimenting with this stuff, especially with the gamification here with the leaderboard on the left hand side. You know, like right now, if you spent $20 just sending little messages in here, you'd be at the top of this chart. So the FOMO of being involved with this, it's just like they can leave little experiments up like this on the web, and it just makes a little bit of an income just from people going, I want to be at the top of that leaderboard. It's kind of fun. I like that. Next thing, F5 bot, free service that emails you when your selected keywords are mentioned on Reddit, Hacker News, or Lobsters. I don't know what Lobsters is, but I like the idea behind this. I did try it with a couple of keywords and I just got inundated. So you have to be really specific about how those words or word is found and in what groups. So you might want to kind of like mute certain groups. So I feel like once you've set up a word, you'll have to go in there into the advanced settings and change it to make it a little bit more useful. Otherwise you just get inundated with emails. They do have a limit. I think you can have 100 emails a day before they sort of rate limit you, but it's a cool tool. It works very well. Next up is jitter.video, motion design made simple. So I hit a bit of a wall with Keynote with the animations, and there's only like 10, 12 different kind of effects in there. And although you can do like easing in and easing out and ramping in and kind of linear, it's kind of very limiting. Then I moved on to Screenflow, and Screenflow's similar, has like 10 effects and has all the easing and all that stuff. But it's not motion, right? It's never going to be motion. Motion scares me to death because there's just so many different features and buttons and ways to do it that I feel like I would spend 2 hours doing something that, if I knew where the button was, could probably do it in like 30 seconds. So a tool like this that enables me to do like basic animation and motion in the cloud for like shows and intros and stuff that I'm doing in OBS, cool little tool. Definitely will be using Jitter. Next up is Padlet. It's a starry night to make something stellar. So again, there's a lot of these little apps that are coming out that you can create little graphs. So for instance, the thing that got me about this was the timeline. I really like the idea of making a animated timeline that you could step through and then export that, maybe do a online course on Skillshare or Udemy and have a timeline at the very beginning as to what you're going to learn, how you're going to move that through that section, and even have that animated timeline maybe at the bottom of the screen for each clip. So again, something that I'm going to play around with. I've got to the point now where I'm thinking that I'm probably going to just have 10 web apps and just stick to those web apps and get the most out of them for the money each month. And as long as I'm making enough money to cover all of those 5x or 10x, then it's worth using them, because I find that it's easier for me to get into stuff if I have web tabs open rather than just having apps running on my local machine. I don't know why that is. Maybe I'm just moving more onto the internet. Next up is Shuffle. So this is more about media in the background. So you probably do the same, but having music playing on Spotify or your favorite media player in the background. Listen to podcasts can be lonely, but not on Shuffle. Think thoughtful discussion, funny memes, flying emojis, all with a like-minded community. So I really love the idea that in that time that I normally take out, like an hour and a half to listen to a podcast, if there's other people in there and they're feeding back on a certain section of the podcast, I kind of dig that. You start adding a layer onto that where people can get paid in microtransactions for their engagement and involvement. Therefore, the people who make that content can make revenue off it, off some of these other platforms like AdSense on YouTube. So I like how all that is kind of coming together. Next up is PayHip, the easiest way to sell digital downloads and memberships. I actually find Gumroad more than capable to do the digital downloads and memberships, but I'm always looking around at different places because they've got different communities, right? When you think about like selling stuff online, I don't think just one location cuts it really. I know it means there's more logistics and more work to be done if you have like 6 or 7 platforms, but also if you have 6 or 7 platforms and different audiences on each one, then you're selling to people that you might never ever see buying stuff off Gumroad. They're just comfortable with using PayHip and they will always use PayHip. So I think spread the load a little bit, get your stuff on all of these different platforms, because you never know where the sale is going to come in from. Next up, Subfund. Create and DM content to your best fans. So this is kind of cool. You can use Twitter, Instagram and Messenger, also Gmail as well, and they've created like a Patreon but based on direct messaging, and I find that really, really interesting. If you've got a big user base, then being able to get like DMs through each one of those things and start a little fund using it, kind of neat, because you can blast out little bits of behind the scenes content to the people who are kind of like sub to you using this. Next up is Biteable.com. Standout videos made in a snap. Make videos with animation, stock footage and photos. Studio quality results the easy way. Seeing a lot more of these. People don't want to spend too much time making learning videos, learning tutorials of how to use the software. They want a easy to use platform. A lot of people might be using Chromebooks, so they don't have necessarily either the tools or the processing power and want to be able to go to a browser and do everything in browser, save it and blast it off up to Instagram or TikTok. I'm going to see a lot more of these web apps popping up in the years to come. Next up is some hardware. Interesting to see that Loopdeck have started to bring out their own kind of dashboard, a little bit like the Stream Deck. Instant creation, editing and streaming at your fingertips. The Loopdeck Live offers speed, accuracy and authority for content creators and live streamers with a limited vision. So limitless vision, should I say? Limitless, not limited. That would not sell very well as copy on the product page. I mean, you can pick up a Stream Deck for like $130, so $269 is a little bit overpriced. But if you've ever had a Loopdeck before, ever like used any of their equipment, you know that the build quality on these things is amazing, and actually it's probably got a lot more features in there than your average Stream Deck. Although I will say the new version 2 Stream Deck looks like a nice little box, especially with the little DAC they've got with the volume control next to it. Also been looking at NDI devices. I definitely want to extend my nearly 20,000 students Udemy course about OBS with doing the whole like section on NDI. I might actually splinter it off and redo the OBS course for 2021-22 and build in a dedicated section for NDI. The prices of these cameras are coming down. They're still quite expensive, but for what you're getting, I think they're actually quite cheap in a studio environment. If you were set up to do like 2 or 3 camera shot, €1,000 is not that much to have a effectively networked camera. As long as you can run an Ethernet cable to this and then to like a gigabit or 10 gigabit switch, and then you can just literally bring up those inputs inside of OBS as an NDI in, and it's super simple. As long as it's detectable on the network, it gets given a DHCP IP address, MAC address, and then boom, it just shows up on your network. And then any device that's on the network, Windows, Mac, Linux, you can display whatever that camera sees. And the quality of these things is really good too. This one's got 64 levels of saturation and hue control, and it uses a Sony Exmor R sensor, so really, really good quality. I don't know what it goes down to, 0.5 lux, so pretty good at like dark situations as well. Changing a little bit direction, I mean still hardware, but a great site that I found if you're interested in mining still. This is a really good site for that. It's called ASCII-minervalue.com. Live income estimates of all known ASCII miners updated every minute. So you can actually see here at a glance what the profitability is of these devices that are already out there. And as you go lower, you can see that you start to get into lower figures or negative figures. But a lot of these boxes down the bottom here, you can probably pick up reasonably cheap, especially this is 2018, this amp miner. $1 a day. I mean, it's still $30 if you've got like free power somewhere, or maybe you're in a place where it's all included in your electricity, or maybe you just live at the end of a I don't know, like a dam somewhere, and they've got like what you call it, hydropower. Okay, future food system, a self-sustaining zero waste productive house that demonstrates the potential of our homes to provide shelter, produce food, and generate energy. Like, out of all the things that are going on in the world with the climate and the seas rising and, you know, permafrost melting, nothing makes more sense to me than zero waste, a house that generates power, and the ability to make your own food. And so this is a great site that shows you about a building, I think it's somewhere in Australia, I think it was, and they've got a whole experience where you can actually go to the place and it's like a tour for the day. I think it's like $75 or something like that, and you learn all the facets of the house and how it operates and how they get to net zero being you're not producing or using any more power than you actually need. In fact, like it's zero output. So in terms of heating and electric uses, maybe you've got solar panels on the roof of this thing, but then also generating enough like electricity to pump water around into these great big pots, I'm sure, to have food outside the windows, so you can go out in the morning and cut your food off. I would love to live in a place that had this much greenery on it, to be honest. Next up is iconic.app. Free, do whatever the fuck you want with pixel perfect icons. New icons added every week. Self-explanatory. Click on an icon and you can just like click it, copy it, download it, share it. Really useful if you're making little graphics, graphic packs or asset packs. Genial. Again, one of those web builders in the interface, presentations, infographics, other stunning content by yourself or your team, so you can work together. Art Breeder, this is an interesting one, a cool little tool that enables you to take more than one image and kind of merge them together. So it uses a little bit of AI to like blend them into completely different ways. I'm sure people who are building NFTs are probably using these tools to add a different level of creativity to their content. Vodify, the power of decentralized video for creators, easily upload, manage, and stream. They give you 100 gig, I think it was, 100 GB to host and stream high quality videos, all the storage you'll ever need. Uses Filecoin combined with IPFS to store your videos reliably and securely. Total security, 128-bit encryption, AES, and there's a whole like monetization way to do it as well. So you could build out your own Skillshare or Udemy using this. Definitely something that I want to play around with at some point. Stand with me. Great URL. Monetize your content, offer coaching, accept payments. Again, a little bit like Gumroad, but it's all-in-one creator store. Next up is livelybg.com. If you've ever wanted to get hold of some backgrounds, I kind of use these for a little video thing that I put out. These are free downloads of like animated backgrounds. Definitely make your videos or your live streams pop if you're like doing a bit of b-roll and going to a different shot. livelybg.com. Playphase, this one's a real good one. Playphase.me, so you can actually type in certain words and it will go through a library of content where those words have been used, and then you can download those clips of those movies. So obviously they're only going to be said for a couple of seconds, so I think there's a fair use thing on that. But very, very cool. There's like nearly 2 million phrases in there, so great for just using on your Stream Deck. Press a button and it just plays that little video clip over the top of your content. Coming to the end now, Panzoid. This is kind of like a video intro builder, similar to something like Fiverr, where you would go on Fiverr and pay somebody to create you a little video. They have all the files already, just need to change the text and your graphics. You can actually do these now in the web, and there's a few of them now where you can use it for live streaming, although this one looks like a porn one. Corn Hub intro. Okay, corn, right? Corn hub, got it. nft.kred, events tickets. This is going to be big in the next 6 months, a year. Share tokenized tickets with your audience. So you've already got people going to events. They've got tickets, digital tickets or physical tickets. Why not turn those physical or digital tickets into NFTs? So if you go to an event on a certain night, there's 500 people who go. You were in a room with 500 people that saw that event. Very specialist thing in terms of that you only you 500 share that moment. They might do something different in the event, or they might offer, you know, something to the people that other people who go to similar events didn't see. And so that NFT or that ticket for that night becomes more special, because then people might want to bid in a marketplace to actually own the ticket for that night. A little bit like when people buy albums and t-shirts from events, you know, things that have been around for like 20 years. You can go into any of these retro stores where people are buying like old fashionable clothing. Similar thing is going to happen to events, because that legacy content is going to start having more value in the years to come. Last 4 or 5. This one I absolutely love, right? Directions to nowhere.com. Prompts for sensing, making and navigating public space. So what they've created is this like really interesting tool to be able to like to go on a kind of mystical tour through various steps to like a completely unknown place. Have you ever like wanted to go somewhere and you don't necessarily know where to go, but you want to go on an adventure? Like Directions to Nowhere has got this like really interesting like group of journeys that you can like go through, and they've created these little like media shout outs in different places, so like Instagram and Twitter and things like that. Very, very, very cool. You have to use the hashtag Directions to Nowhere on those social media channels to be featured on their journeys page. Game of chance that alters your way to sense, make and navigate public space. Anyone can play. Simply go outside, pick a random prompt and follow the directions for interacting with your surroundings. Perhaps you'll feel something new or create something special that you'll want to share. So I love the idea that, you know, you don't always have an idea for content creation, for instance, and it might be you just landed somewhere, got off a plane, tired, jet lagged. You can go through this on your mobile phone, and based on the prompts, it might trigger something for you to create a certain kind of content, and then obviously share it on social media. So it's just like a virtual prompting system for people who are apathetic with their content creation. Next up, Place It. Design made easy with ready to use templates. How many times have you got like a logo or an image and you thought, I should totally put that on a t-shirt, or I should totally put it on a mug? Now you can do that with Place It. They've got some great little mock-ups, like 3D ones, perspective at an angle. Yeah, just a really good site for creating multiple images, and then you can obviously go and put it onto your Amazon store or Printful, something like that. Sub.so, one app, one feed, helps you navigate the vast content landscape by joining all creator socials into one. It is kind of frustrating to have to go into different apps, YouTube, TikTok, all those things. I do like the idea of bringing back RSS feeds, but a visual version of that, because we're only going to end up with this in VR and AR anyway, where we have our little home on a high rise and we have our TV set and we have like our virtualized Plex. So we might as well get into creating these kind of like streams of content that we watch, so that we can export it from these apps straight into those VR places when we're in them. Last 2, viral style. Thousands of designs to choose from. Express yourself. What I've noticed about this site, keeps on popping up on TikTok a lot, and I think what people are doing is they're creating literally thousands of like t-shirts, and then they're just like randomly like cross-posting them on different accounts, setting up separate accounts under their main TikTok account, and they're just like buying the shirt and they're just like putting a link to it in the bio, and they're making quite good money off these like these t-shirts, let me tell you. Final one today, Jarvis is conversion.ai. Let Jarvis write your sales email. Use AI to write proven high converting copy for increased conversions and a higher ROI. Instantly generate high quality copy for ads, emails, websites, listings and blogs. Like, if you've built something, a little digital product, oftentimes the hardest thing is marketing that stuff via social media. there's no reason, or very little reason, to spend a lot of money on copywriters right now, unless you've got somebody that you use who's amazing. AIs are doing it so much better, so much faster, so much cheaper, and you can actually just go in there and also change that copy as well. There's so many tools now for doing really high level transcribing, so I definitely recommend you checking that out. I'm gonna stop this video now, and I'm going to record a little video of after I put all the sections in on the on Screenflow 10, and then I'm going to show you how to. I'm going to show you what happens when I export that video and publish it to YouTube. I'll see you in a bit. I just wanted to add a little bit on the end of the video. You can see along the top of the bar here, this is where I've right-clicked and asked to put in another tab. When I right-click there now, it shows you all of the text that's going to be in the description field for my chapters, and this will automatically move to each one of these. You can see the timings after it where it is on the timeline, and I can click on any one of these and obviously edit that if I want to edit it just by double clicking on it. So now where all the I moved that one, undo move marker. Now what I can do is go to File, go to Publish to YouTube, and then the secret source is not on this page. Don't worry about this add captions track here. When you've done all your auth with YouTube to use your channel, when you click on next, the link is here. So you've got to tick this, add chapters from timeline markers. And what this will do is it will take all these timeline markers and the text, and it will put it in the description field, meaning that people can click on the time and jump to that section in the video. So this improves having to type in, I hate or I dislike making text for this where I have to go in. So this just improves and speeds up the ability to put markers in, and I presume YouTube likes having markers there, so it gives it a little bit more SEO juice if it can jump into those sections in search, I'm sure. So this speeds up productivity for me in Screenflow 10, makes it worth the, I think it was like $49 for the year upgrade. That saves me loads and loads of time.